All right. So I'm Rachel, as all of you know. I'm doing a Holiday Hopes and Dreams series for 21 days. They haven't been consecutive, but you're getting 21 days worth. So I reached out to Lindsey just because I know that during this time of the pandemic, of isolation, all of that keeping a relationship fresh can be really hard. And I know just from my Lindsey and I kind of talked about this a little bit, but for my own experience with my husband, oh my goodness, us being in the same area for way too long is no bueno. No. So I just have been admiring Lindsey and her husband Scott. They have been making a point to have different date nights and times that they connect. And so I reached out to her and asked her if she would share a little bit about like how they have been managing this pandemic and being isolated. I know for a while they were at home together for a long period of time. I think again now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is Lindsey. So Lindsey, like what was it like when you guys first found out you had to spend so much time together?
So at first I was like, oh, cool. We get to work together at the kitchen table every day. And, you navigate any transition you navigate, you adapt, right? So you figure out, I used to work from home full time. And when Scott started working from home, when everything kind of went into quarantine around March, I was so upset because he was ruining my routine. And so he was making his breakfast when I was listening to my morning show, and he was making noise, and then I was in his way, and we kind of had to navigate just the beginning of that. And we've always had just this standing Monday night date night. We've always said, since we had kids, Monday night's date night, even if that means sitting on the couch together watching TV, it's Monday night, the kids go to bed, we spend time together. But when we couldn't go out on dates, because we would also go out, on a weekend night once or twice a month and get the grandparents to babysit, we decided we needed to get a little more creative. And I don't want to take all the credit either. There's a good friend of mine named Cass, who she and her husband started doing the same thing. So right around the same time, we both kind of were like, okay, let's make this really cool quarantine date nights hashtag, and we'll post these different creative things that we're doing. They did like a Bob Ross paint night and like an escape room puzzle. We ended up, so there were a few things that we did right away, and we got ridiculously creative. One was a bar night. So we stacked like plastic totes and draped a blanket over it, and that was our bar top. And then we put, like mixed nuts on the table and different drinks. And then we played the Wii like bar games. So we're like, oh, we're at the bar, we're playing darts, we're playing pool, we're playing, so we kind of joked that we were meeting at the bar again, and it was funny. There was one night, I don't know if you've ever seen Top Shot. It was it's a competition, a shooting competition show that was forever ago. But you would have these different targets, and whoever shoots the best, you'd have trick shots behind the back, et cetera, et cetera. So Scott set up all these different trick shots, and we used Nerf guns and had a Top Shot date night. And then we did a murder mystery puzzle where, so before you get a murder mystery puzzle, find out how many pieces it is, find out how long it's going to take. And we started it. The story was way longer than I thought it was going to be. We started the puzzle, it was like 1,000 pieces, and we gave up. We full gave up, and the puzzle sat in our kids' playroom for about 8 months, and we just finished it 2 nights ago. So it was, so we'd get creative, and then we'd get bored, and then we'd get creative, and then we'd get bored. And I don't want to make it sound like we were just happy-go-lucky coming up with all these things, because we got kind of tired of it too. Like, oh, I don't want to come up with something creative. I don't want to come up with something. And then I, told Scott, okay, I've come up with like 3. Now it's your turn. And he was like, yeah, that's not my thing. So then we would, find a show to binge or something like that. But I think what's really helped is the consistency. So by having this standing Monday night date night that we've always had, we really made a point to make sure that that stayed true during quarantine. And then we also made sure that there was or is a night during the week where it's like he goes to his music studio and he plays guitar for a couple hours, and I paint or I read or I sit on my phone for 2 hours. Just you need that space too, especially when you're like seeing each other every day. And I love his face, but every day. And he loves my face, but every day. And it just was like, you again. So it got to the point, you have to have that balance between make time for each other and, okay, we each need our own time to do what fulfills us. And it's challenging with kids, as everybody knows, and you throw in distance learning and you throw in work. I was furloughed in March, and so I went from a full-time job to now 3 part-time jobs. 2 of them are remote, 1 is in person. And it's, juggling that, and then responsibilities shift. Okay, who's going to watch the kids now? And you get stressed and you get anxious and depressed during all of this. And so really making that time is important, and it's hard. It's really hard. There are Monday nights that we're like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't want to do anything. We have found a couple shows that we both really enjoy. So we'll save those shows for Monday nights. We won't binge the whole thing in a weekend. We'll go, okay, let's save this for Monday night date night, so that if we don't have something to do, we can just default to this show and we both really like it and we talk. And, last night we were going, okay, now what should we do next? And really it could be as simple as a board game. It could be as, kind of nerdy as video games. We've done that where we'll go, okay, we're going to have an old school video game night. And we pull out the Super Nintendo and play that, and have like wine and play Nintendo and make it like a classy version of being nerdy. And you definitely hit lulls, and you definitely hit repetition, I think, is also, Scott brought up a good point. I was asking him about this the other day. I said, what are some really important points that you think were either a challenge for us or that we've done well? And he said to even do something in different rooms. So if you're constantly having a date night, like we have a living room downstairs or a family room downstairs where our TV is, and that's where all of our date nights have been. And he was like, but sometimes it would be nice to go in the music studio and like, let's play music together, or let's go into, we did actually, there was one night that we decided to do just like pour a glass of wine, sit in bed next to each other, and ask basic questions. So I looked at him and I go, what's your favorite color? I don't think I even know what your favorite color right now is. And he was like, oh, I guess it's this. And then, we got into like deeper questions, like, is there anything from your childhood that really stands out as like the best memory? Is there anything from your childhood that stands out that you really want to do with your family again? Or, those kind of things. So it starts with just basic, what's your favorite color? I don't even know if, and then you kind of think yourself, I go, I don't even know if I have a favorite color. And so we did that one night. And, oh, here's a tip. Guys like spa nights. They may think they don't like spa nights, but they do. You can tell your husband this.
I'll let him know. I'm sure he'll agree with you.
So we had one night where after the kids went to bed, we like lit candles and played, I can't remember what Pandora station it was. It was like Zen Radio or something like that. And I was like, cool, we're going to put foot masks on and we're going to do like a clay mask. And he was like, okay. But he really enjoyed it because he didn't have to think about anything. And he was like, this is actually kind of relaxing. And we also have one of those, our Christmas presents the last couple of years have been a back massager where you put your arms in it. I don't know if you've seen those. And they're like heated. And then we have an electric foot massager too. So it was like, let's just do this whole spa experience so that we don't have to think about anything. And he really enjoyed it. So it's looking around, using what you have, and getting really creative.
Right. Well, and I like too the idea of like doing it even if you don't think you'll like it, because I think a lot of times we're like, oh, that doesn't sound fun or that doesn't sound exciting. But then after you do it, it's like, oh, that was actually really relaxing.
Yeah. Or, you find moments that you end up laughing And
Mhm.
even to hear that, like, just really true belly laugh from each of
Right.
you to go, wow, that was really fun. That was really
Mhm.
funny. And something that was when we were just asking the silly questions back and forth. Like we kind of learned a few things about each other, but we also laughed a lot. And that was really, that releases so many
Mhm.
endorphins.
Mhm. Sorry, it froze there. Endorphins. Oh, that's funny. I can't tell like if my computer has been the one that is lagging here, because
Oh, I don't
or
see any leg on mine.
oh, I just have had it a couple times. It's just been
No.
like the last couple days I've been having troubles, but doesn't matter. Um, well, and like, I think just with everything that you're saying, um, having that like consistent one date night is so important. I know Ryan and I talk about it all the time. We're like, okay, well, I probably talk about it more of like, let's get a date night. And Ryan, and he'll attest to this, but he hates the word date night. And so I have to be like, a night where we're hanging out together. But I think it's so easy for us to like get in the hustle and bustle of the day and like just not turn our brain off and like committing to that one night of like no matter what's going on we have to at least spend 30 minutes of watching the show together and turning everything off. Like I know that when we've done that we've come to the place of being like, oh, this was actually really enjoyable,
Yeah.
or oh, I really needed to take this break and I didn't realize I needed this break so bad, or like, oh, you're my husband, hey, how are you? Haven't
Hi,
seen you
how
for
are
a
you?
while.
There have been a couple nights where we'll sit down, we'll each have a glass of wine, we'll sit down on the couch and we'll go, I don't know what to do. And so a couple times we've Googled like random trivia facts and we'll just read them back and forth to each other. And
Mhm.
sometimes you do that for 15 minutes and you go, okay, that was enough. And then sometimes it really sparks some interesting conversations. Um, but, just Googling things like that, random questions to ask your spouse, because you don't have to come up with these ideas on your own necessarily. And I'm happy to share, the list of date nights that we did and that my girlfriend did with her husband too, because they came up with really creative ones too.
That's
And I think they had like a glow. Oh, I'm going to get this wrong. And if she's watching this, she's going to scold me for it. But it was like a glow Nerf something in their basement and with the kids though, which made it really fun. And that's, that is something to reconnecting with your spouse is really important. If you can incorporate the kids, if it's too early, that's kind of fun too. But we're the mean parents that make our kids go to bed really early.
I don't know if that's mean. I would look at that as smart. Just kidding.
Well, and it's not, I would say it's selfishly because we like our time, but it's really because we've seen what happens when they don't get sleep.
Right.
So we're, 7 o'clock, we start bedtime with both of them. And it's like, you're in bed and if you better be asleep by 8. And then we typically start the date night about 8:30. So that helps for them to have an earlier bedtime. I think if they had later bedtimes, it would be even more challenging.
Sure.
But we often fall into that monotony of, okay, I'm really tired, let's crawl into bed. And then both of us are sitting side by side on our phones. And
Mhm.
then it's like, all right, we turn our phones off, give each other a quick kiss, and then fall asleep.
Right.
Um, and we've both called ourselves out on that and called each other out on that. And it's still
Mhm.
hard to break because sometimes that's so mindless that you kind of escape the fear of everything going on right now in the world and work and all of that. So it's been a challenge even now to kind of
Mhm.
come out of that. I do think the warm weather helped over the summer.
Yes.
It was easy to say, hey, let's go for a walk, let's go outside and have a bonfire tonight. We had lots of bonfires. We did set aside some wood to dry to try and have a winter bonfire. I don't know that we'll actually like want to do it. Like too cold, don't want to do it.
Yeah, I've
But
seen
we
some
have good
pretty cool
intentions.
ones. Yeah, you can like build this whole fort around the pit and have the walls up so that it's not cold. I mean, people get really creative with their
Yeah.
winter camp or winter campfires.
Yeah. So it does require a little bit of work and a little bit of
Mhm.
creativity, but even Googling like interesting, there are so many sites that have like interesting date nights for quarantine.
Mhm.
We did try going out to a restaurant once things reopened safely. And we went and we had a good time, but it was still a little, just personally, it was a little nerve wracking for us.
Sure.
And we decided we probably weren't going to do that again. So
Mhm.
we've gotten a lot of takeout and done a lot of trying to recreate recipes at home. But yeah, it's having a consistent date night is definitely a step, and it takes some getting used to. But once you're in that routine, it's very easy to go, oh yeah, it's Monday, it's date night. Okay, cool. What do you want to do tonight?
Mhm.
So
And you almost treat it as like that is an hour or an hour or two that is just for date night. Like you don't schedule
yes,
anything else around that time and whatnot.
yeah,
Um,
we try and say no a lot to things on Monday nights just because like, well, that's date night. Or if it's something, we make a point to reschedule for the next night if something comes up that's important. Okay, well, we'll do date night tomorrow night.
sure.
But yeah, and yeah, you don't have to call it date night. You can come up with something
I
creative
know.
for Ryan to. It's Ryan
Ryan
night.
loves
Just
his
call it
wife
Ryan
night.
night.
Ryan loves his wife night. Well, I think like the big, with not being able to go out and do things, right? And like you were just saying with going to the restaurant, it's still, like there's still that little bit of anxiety, and everyone is different on how they feel with comfortability and whatnot. But I know that for a lot of people has not been an option, and so it feels not as or like that ability to go somewhere else oftentimes feels like you get that separation and you don't have to be around the kids or be at home, just that it's
Mm-hmm.
just a different life, right? So like
Yeah.
getting out date night. um but I think it's great that like even just Scott's idea of going into different rooms, or like I know some people have gone to the park and done date night there with takeout, so it felt like it was outside of the
Yeah.
house. But we do have to be really creative and just kind of go back to the core of like having that bond and that connection is what's going to help us get through the week.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is important. It's we don't know how much longer this is going to last, and we also don't know how much longer like you said, everybody's comfort level is different. And so even if when the vaccine comes out, people get it, I don't think that's going to be, I don't think 100% of people are going to be ready to just walk out into the world again. So having these just little creative ways to keep things at least interesting,
Mm-hmm.
it and be prepared to fail. I think that's really important too. Like be prepared for it. It's okay if it's a massive failure because you can laugh about it later and go, well, that didn't work. Let's not do that again. But if you try, at least you get a good laugh out of it and you get a good story out of it.
And you can always come back to the puzzle, right?
Absolutely. If that is a lesson, if we can take away anything, it's just you can always come back to the puzzle.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all these ideas. I think that sometimes we just assume that, if we can't go out, then it can't be date night. But I think that we can be really creative, and that it's so important to just like get out of the autopilot of being on our phones. And this is a conversation that Ryan and I have as well, of like, we have to call each other out too. Hey, you've been on your phone a lot. Like when we're, like, let's have our family time or our
Yeah.
couples time. But I love that idea of once a week. I hear it all the time, but Ryan and I have yet to establish it. So maybe I'll be like, Lindsey and Scott does. I just kidding. She
Yeah.
said it could
So
be
we need to
Ryan
be
and
like them. I'll tell you what, we will give you our puzzle and you guys can take 8 months to do it too.
Yeah, I love puzzles. We would just have to find a place that Eli doesn't destroy it.
We had to so we took out the leaves of our dining room table that expands and like stuck
Um,
them together and did it on there and then kept it in the kids' playroom, which we should have done because then they knocked it apart a couple times. So yeah, that part's challenging too. You make do with what you can and laugh about the messes and the failures as you go.
well, thanks again.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
appreciate you jumping on. And I'm going to, or if you feel like, or if you have some fun ideas, feel free to like throw them underneath. Or if anyone else has fun ideas for date night, like please share below, because I think
Yes, we
that's the
need new
best thing.
ideas. So the
Yeah,
more
Lindsey and
ideas, the
Scott
better.
needs new ideas, and then Ryan's night needs some ideas as well.
I love it. Well, thank you, Rachel. I really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, I'm gonna go off here.